Welcome everyone watching us live on YouTube. My name is Aya Shebi. I will be your host today for the next 30 minutes or so. And we are here to talk about the upcoming LKDF Forum 2022. This is the third virtual edition of the forum, and I'm really excited for us to use this time together to really understand what this is about, how can we be part of it, and what opportunities for you as young people in this forum. LKDF stands for Learning and Knowledge Development Facility, which is really a platform that promotes industrial skills and development among young people. But we will learn more. What does that mean? We know that the world is undergoing rapid, unpredictable changes. And when changes are so fast, as it has been, strengthening workers and institutions' resilience is key. And young people, as our working force, should be part of this conversation. So I would love for you to engage and use the hashtag LKD Forum. The forum will take place on 19th and 20th October, and the theme is Skills for Resilience. Are we ready for a skills revolution? The forum will bring together many experts, partners, training professionals, and stakeholders from all the ecosystem of skills development. I'm so pleased today to have with me some of the incredible speakers and partners who will share with us their vision, their strategies, and most importantly, the opportunities we can leverage on as young people. My first guest is Matilda Mwame, Senior Program Officer at UNIDO, the United Nations Industrial Development Organization. Matilda, welcome.
Thank you very much, Aya. I'm happy to be here.
We are happy to have you with us. And I wanted to ask you, what are some of the examples that UNIDO initiatives, especially in Africa, focus on youth resilience and skill development?
Thank you, Aya. Allow me just to say something before I answer the question. Is to emphasize that, Africa has the youngest population, with 70%, of the population under the age of 30. And the population is estimated to reach 800 million by 2050. So Africa must take advantage of this demographic dividend. If left unchecked, the growth can be negative. If harnessed, the resultant effect is going to lead Africa to sustainable economic development. So now coming back to your question, UNIDO, in recognition of these facts, the demographic dividend, the potential that the youth have, has several initiatives that it is implementing. One of the key initiatives is the opportunities for youth in Africa in agriculture. This is a program that UNIDO is implementing together with the Food Agriculture Organization, and it is focused on developing individual skills, strengthening of agriculture value chains, and reinforcement of institutions that deal with employment creation and entrepreneurship development. So this is one of the key initiatives that is under implementation, and it is in different countries. Another initiative is a program that is being implemented in Ethiopia, and this is funded by the Swedish government, and it is focusing on developing entrepreneurial skills in the motor, let's say, in the road transport sector. So, for instance, in Ethiopia, UNIDO has established the first ever, let's say, a training institute or center, where young people can go and train, on the different aspects of heavy duty equipment and vehicles. This is also happening in Liberia. Then there are several other initiatives that UNIDO is implementing, and this is taking into account that entrepreneurship has to begin at the lowest level. So UNIDO is implementing a number of programs that are focused on developing entrepreneurship, starting with students in secondary schools. So we've had a number of programs implemented in different countries, including Nigeria, Namibia, etc., etc. So for now, I can say, just to highlight a few, I can come back if needed. Thank you.
No, I 100% agree with you. Thank you for sharing that, Matilda. It's not only we're a young population, we're the youngest in the world. So I think these efforts are rightfully placed in the continent that has the future of it is young. We have people joining us from Uganda and Botswana and other African countries. So I'm glad that the audience is also African youth. Maybe you can share with us your call to action to them, or why should they get engaged with these programs at UNIDO and join the forum, and maybe where can they find all these amazing programs?
Okay. No, thank you very much. Yes, I would encourage, the young, the youth in Africa, to, take advantage of what is happening, all over the world. I know that they are, the youth is quite engaged in different activities, and especially taking advantage of the fourth industrial revolution, digitalization, and so on. So I know that they are on top of things, that they need to continue to pursue. They are the future of Africa, and everyone is looking to them. So I would encourage them also to join, like you say, the FKDF forum, which is upcoming. I think it's going to be a very important platform, for exchanging ideas, learning from each other, and so on. In terms of the initiatives that I've talked about that UNIDO is implementing, I think they can go to the website of the LKDF website. That information is readily available. Or indeed, wherever they are, they should feel free to go to the UNIDO offices in those countries. We have a number of countries, almost in every country, every African country, I think there's a UNIDO office. So they should feel free to go there and get this information. So I'll end here, Aya. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Matilda. Thank you for being our youth champion in UNIDO. I'm so proud as African too. All right, so I see Seth and Alfred joining us online on YouTube. Please share with your networks, invite them to join. And I want to welcome at this point Erika Hessling Husrum, Senior Program Manager and Specialist at the Swedish International Development Cooperation Agency. Erika, welcome. And
thank you.
We know that the agency is funding skills development initiatives like LKDF. So maybe share with us why this is important and how does that really contribute concretely to the youth resilience?
Yes, and SIDA and UNIDO has been working together on the LKDF facility since 10 years. It's actually a 10-year jubilee this year. And we believe SIDA as an agency investing in youth, young professionals, both women and men, is a prerequisite for sustainable economic development. And what we see is that the LKDF program contributes to this and to SIDA's development strategies by working with knowledge and skills development in a holistic, systematic, and integrated way with the market development system approach. And the market development system approach is helping actors such as UNIDO and other partner organizations to think systematically about employment and to support sustainable, inclusive, adaptive and scalable solutions. And the MSD approach is well aligned with evidence and research and what works in employment and in youth employment. And it provides a robust framework for building strategies tailored to the local context, which is really important, as you mentioned, Africa and the growing youth population, etc. And with this inclusive approach, you might position young employable people at the center of the analysis and build a deep understanding of their challenges, of their aspirations, of their opportunities. And by this, getting a more solid and better framework for for this, for the work forward. And CEDA appreciates that LKDF is contributing to the MSD approach in innovative and new ways of working in co-creation and partnerships with the private sector and other actors by mobilizing finance and engagement to address important development challenges in our partner countries. And currently, as we see more and more rapid changes and challenges in the world, with severe challenges in climate change, ongoing wars in our neighborhood and all over Africa, Asia, and Middle East, the demand for durable, resilient, and sustainable solutions is growing every day. And for instance, the transition to greener economy globally requires new types of skills and knowledge. And here donors like CEDA and implementers like UNIDO and other partners can make a big difference. And we can see that in addition to this, traditional skills is very important now for individuals, both youth and others, companies and organizations, to develop even more skills and knowledge in digitalization, innovation, management, and leadership skills to push this development forward so we can see a better and safer world. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that overview. I 100% agree with you that closing the digital divide would be extremely important. I mean, again, Africa is 70% offline,
Yes.
So when we say skills for young people, the majority of them are not in the digital space. But also, I think you raised climate change, and I think COP27 should also have these conversation of skills development part of its conversation.
Yes.
So before I let you go, Arika, maybe in 1 minute or 30 seconds, you can tell us your message to young people in the different countries you work in, but also why should they join this forum?
I think by joining the forum and taking stock and taking interest and taking to learn what is happening, you can position yourself. And as Matilda said, you can then go forward and take your own initiatives and try to connect. I think that is the most important thing. And as we can see in Africa, I've been working in Bangladesh, I've been working in Southern Africa, Mozambique and South Africa, and you see that the youth is going into the cities. But to have the strength and the knowledge and the opportunities to have the ability to address and take, so to say, care of your own position is very important. And I think also, of course, this is important in normal schooling and what you have, but what we can see is the divide on primary schooling and then going to the vocational training and what you have, that has been missing for a long time. And now the private sector is a big employer and a big leader and collaborator and partner in this, in a trend to bridge this divide. And I think also there you can see that, for instance, digitalization, working with computers in those trainings is so important, even management and leadership skills, etc. So I think it's a revolution, and it's a shift that is really needed, and we can help and pushing it by us as donors and us together, I think.
So not only be part of the revolution, but co-lead it with the young people. So I think that's important,
definitely.
that this is a co-creation process.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Arika, for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. I would like now to welcome Elfie Klump, Head of Partnership Development Global Education at the Festo Didactics. I would love to learn more about it, actually. So you are one of the founders or founding partners of the LKDF and a speaker as well in the upcoming forum, which I'm excited about to hear more about it. And maybe you can share with us the session you will be participating in is on pathways for creating more resilient and employable workers. I know we can't get so much of what you're going to say because you will share that in the forum itself, but at least like a snapshot of what that conversation should be about. I think you are muted. Yes.
Okay, here we go. Fantastic. Yes, thank you, and great to be here. As you mentioned, yes, Festo is proud to be a founding partner of LKDF Forum at UNIDO, Why? Because we share the same mission. To give you some insights, we are in the field of industry development, like UNIDO is, with Festo Automation. We empower processes in industry. And on the other hand, we empower people with Festo Didactic. We have a great division focusing on development of skills, on development of learning methods to get employed, to be employable. So we have something in common, UNIDO and Festo, education and industry development. And thus we strive to empower youth and contribute to the industrial workforce development of the 21st century. And now coming to your question, how we can prepare being more resilient and employable, well, I guess there is no other choice. COVID, climate, conflicts, all that calls by nature for getting more resilience, whether we are young or whether we are in the working process every day and wherever we are. Now to youth becoming employable, from a private sector perspective, when it comes to skills development, what we observe is a change in the need of competencies. Today, we see an increase in soft skills, the 4 Cs, the so-called 4 Cs, cooperation skills, communication skills, creativity and critical thinking, but also, of course, hard skills, technology-focused skills, because we talk about Industry 4.0, we talk about digitalization, we talk about 5G in production, climate calls for green technologies, etc. So it is important that the youth of today is acquiring soft and hard skills, but at the same time, in our opinion, stays continuously open and curious to learn a lot of new things. Because specialist skills, of course, can become obsolete very easily. And thus, lifelong learning is the key, upskilling, reskilling. And lifelong learning, of course, helps you to get ahead in your job, but also it helps you to strengthen your personality. And of course, in the future, it's no longer possible to pass your career with the degree you earn today, eventually at the end of your skilling, but you have to stay open and enter the lifelong learning process. And learning, of course, can be really fun. So, and especially if you can practice what you learn, if you apply in practice what you have learned in school. And this is what we do at Festo Didactic with our concepts. We empower youth, we empower the workforce to get ready for the job market and to get ready for industry and to make a living. And in the upcoming forum, we will give you lots of practical examples, lots of ideas, lots of project ideas where we work around the globe. And I guess the whole forum, bringing all together all those wonderful stakeholders, will be very interesting and very enriching. So I invite everybody here to stay tuned and to stay curious and come and join us.
Thank you for that call for everybody to join, and also for reminding us that learning should be fun. I think that is extremely important. Thank you for joining us today, Alfie. I would like to now invite Manuela Prina, Heads of Skills Identification and Development Unit at the European Training Foundation. Welcome.
Thank you, Aya. Thank you.
It's great to have you. And I wanted to ask you on areas of skills development that really require our focus now. How can we ensure that young people have the interest to participate and to build this ecosystem?
Yeah, it's a very important question. And first of all, I want to start from the word resilience, because I think lately there is a bit of confusion of what we mean by this word, especially when I talk to young people. It seems that the message is resilience should be like, okay, just wait, it will pass, and just, take care of yourself now and accept anything that happens. But resilience doesn't mean that. Actually, resilience goes hand in hand with the responsibility, which for me is the ability to respond to respond to what happens. And this calls for actually finding really all the talent and the abilities and the objectives that you can put forward, even when around you things are changing or things are not going the direction that you were predicting. Now, how do we actually support the ability to be resilient, which is the ability to actually respond to changes and take this action forward? First of all, it's about cultivating talent. And this is an important theme because we are used to actually put a lot of effort and also attention on performance in education and also in the world of work, and less on talent, on the contribution that each person and each young person can bring in solving a problem from a multidisciplinary perspective, and also with different talents, abilities, experiences, cultures, and identities. And this is really what we need to focus on, the understanding that each of us values for giving this response at the level of a community and a society, especially now that we have a shared challenge, which is to embrace a green transition for the future, but a green transition that must be inclusive. And this is not less important than the transition itself. So how do we support this? For me, it's very important, two messages. A message to the young generation, which is really to take this responsibility, and which is very difficult, especially after COVID. We know, for example, that the number of young people that also have mental health issue has increased dramatically, and we cannot keep our eyes closed. We need to help the youth to take this energy and to bring it forward, including the ability to seek for support, to seek for help, to have an environment where they can really address those issues and move ahead. The second message is for the world of work, but is also for policymakers, for policy shapers, which is, it's not very easy for a young person to come there and tell you, we think this. We need to be the ones also taking responsibility to involve the youth. And so we need to open the doors, open our meetings, open the dialogue, and make sure that in anything we do and everything we decide for the future, young people are not the beneficiaries, but they are the protagonists of those choices, and they need to be with us. And we need to really benefit from their talent, their ideas, and their future thinking. So this is what is important for us.
I really appreciate that how you reframe, training into more the gift, the talent, the identity. It's not just, technical, it's actually about an everyday progress, and also mental health. I mean, we need a toolbox with us every day to be able to survive in today's world. So in 3 words, Manuela, what would you say to everybody watching us why they should join the forum and learn more from the work you're doing?
We will bring stories of resilience, and as I explained, resilience.
1 word, 3 words. So
yeah,
stories of resilience.
So, stories of resilience, talent, and shaping the future.
Amazing. Stories of resilience, talent, and shaping the future. Thank you for being with us, Manuela.
Thanks to you.
Bye. So next, my guest is David Hollins, a global education strategist at HP. It's great to have you with us and have your perspective on how HP reacted to these uncertain circumstances. We were talking before the live, about this world we live in right now and the disruptions, especially in terms of skills development for young people. So what are some of the concrete actions that you have been taking as HP?
Sure. I suppose the first thing that we've done is we've really looked at the fact that digital equity in particular is just, it grew, inequity grew so rapidly, and what we understand is that's going to continue to accelerate. So for us, I suppose the first action was to set a really big ambitious goal to improve digital equity for 150 million by 2030. So as a company, we're looking at ways in which we can actually create a catalyst for leapfrogging, if we want to think about where we are today. Aya, you mentioned, particularly in continents like Africa, the amount of people who aren't connected, who don't have skill, it's quite large. So what we really want to avoid is sort of smaller projects. They're still worthwhile, but how do we leapfrog those less advantaged individuals, leapfrog them into a situation where we're placing them at the front of the queue for fantastic opportunities, particularly around digital skill. So the idea of setting that goal is really to force us into a collaboration, because it is that triple P partnership that we believe always can flick that lever and rapidly move us towards that situation. So, and I think, digital in particular is underpinning so many components of things we've long fought for. So we can imagine that it underpins the expression of human rights and all of those things that we're trying to achieve. It acts as a tool for individuals, communities, for countries to disruptively solve some of the biggest challenges that they have, be it, couched in the SDGs, or whether it's at that personal level, at the family level, at the individual level, right? So I think we've touched on it already. There are some really well identified core skills, whether you want to talk about them as the 4 C's or the 5 C's, those human characteristics that we're going to bring to bear with technology and know how to use that technology and be literate in what that technology can do, so that people firstly can be empowered to make decisions, right? Decisions for themselves about being able to leverage that. So of course we need to provide the opportunity, but I think the foundational component is creating a literacy amongst all of the citizens of every country in the world, and especially those who are disconnected from the conversation, so that they can make informed decisions even at policy level, so that they've got a voice. And it does this other curious thing as well. When we start to identify just how wonderful and transformative the opportunities are, and I often use, and the UNIDO people will laugh at me because I always bring this up, there are roughly 3 million unfilled cybersecurity jobs, and finger in the air math is that if you take 20,000 people at low-level analyst, prepare them with the skills for a low-level cybersecurity analyst, circa 50,000 USD, 50,000 USD is a salary. It can be done from anywhere. For 20,000 people you train, that's 1 billion in income for a country. So when we struggle with these ideas of how do we get somewhere, what sort of capital investment do we require, we can create something that's sustaining. And so I think we're wrestling with all of that, but of course we're building on an amazing foundation of collaboration. Here gathered, we have pretty much all of the stakeholders that we want to talk with, and there are a whole bunch of others that we definitely want to invite to the LKDF forum, because that's the starting point to catalyze the discussions that are going to help HP really get on board and reach this target together. Of course, we've got a long history of working with different countries around highly scalable programs. We built this incredible program called HP Life, which is centered around equipping pretty much anyone with the skills for entrepreneurship, problem solving, everything you need to either run a personal, let's say, informal economy business better, so you're more successful and able to adapt even if you're not part of the formal economy yet, all the way through to developing IT skills, foundational ones, which are very employable. So we've been doing that for a while, and I think our goal there is to increase the users of that program up to 1.5 million. But right now, enrolled, there's about 500,000 people. And in your hometown, Aya, we did an incredible collaboration with UNIDO USA and a few others. And there's a program running based on that right now in your country, which, when I come back to resiliency and what we noticed was really important, we saw the use of that platform increase something like 1,000-fold during COVID.
That's
What was really,
fantastic.
what was much better about that though, was the difference in the lives that were connected to it. So those who were lucky enough to be on the program, aware of it, were able to leverage it to improve their circumstances. And we're talking people who aren't necessarily 24/7 connected to the internet. They're not running startup companies like we could imagine. They're doing things at a very humble level. They may be making goods for their local community, providing food. This actually sharpens their commercial ability. So that was really wonderful to hear some of those stories. So again, we're building on the foundations of collaboration we know work, and we've set a giant goal. So come and help us achieve it.
Amazing, fantastic, David. Thank you so much for raising these. I think what I take away, these 3 questions: what is the technology, who is using technology, and how do we use the technology? And what I would love to hear from you during the forum, more what HP also is doing for girls and women, because you know that those are the ones who are, you know, mostly out of the digital revolution. So we look forward to see you in the forum and to hear more about that. But thank you for joining us today. Thanks so much.
My pleasure.
Bye bye.
Okay. Bye.
So I'd like to welcome to conclude Matthias Larsson. He's the industrial development expert at UNIDO. And Matthias will give us an overview, and it's a great way to conclude this discussion on the LKDF forum and what the audience can expect from it beside all these amazing partners and speakers of today.
Yeah, thank you very much. So, of course, as the coordinator of LKDF, I just want to take the opportunity to give everyone, before we close the live stream, a brief glimpse at the program that we have. But before I do that, I want to, of course, thank all the people who watched the live stream and all the speakers. Thank you very much for joining us, and of course, thank you, Aya, for moderating. But if I can share my screen very briefly and show you the program for a quick glimpse, you will see that we have a very full program. So the forum will be virtual in 2 days. It's open for everyone who is interested to join. You will find the link to register in the description of the YouTube channel. Please sign up. And you will see here, we have a first day that, of course, starts with an opening. We will have a setting the scene where we talk more on a general level of what skills and resilience mean. In the afternoon, we will look at first a session that looks at the institutional level. So what resilience in the skills area means for TVET systems, for example. And then after that, on the individual level, so workers' resilience will be discussed. On the second day, we will have a storytelling a storytelling session and a fireside chat. Then a session that focuses on what resilience means for the private sector, so more on the level of organizational resilience. Then in the afternoon, we will look at actual examples of how resilience is being, I guess, enacted in skills development throughout developing countries with many interesting examples. So please join us on the 19th and 20th. You see we have some very interesting organizations who will be joining us: Volvo, Festo, and HP, as you've seen here, Deloitte, the ETF, of course, the European Commission, just to name a few. So before we end, thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, speakers, and thank you, Aya. And we, on behalf of UNIDO, of course, please join us on the 19th and 20th for the LKDF Forum. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Matthias. That gives us a great wrap-up of today's session. I want to also thank you and David and Elfie, Ulrika, Matilda, and Manuela for all information and contribution. UNIDO initiatives in Africa, SIDA support to youth resilience, Festo work on employability, ETF work on cultivating talent. I learned so much today. And HP work on digital equity, and more you can find and learn in LKDF forum on 19th and 20th. So go to unido.org/LKDF2022 to register. I'll be posting more in the lead up to the forum. You can follow across social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, the hashtag LKDforum, LKDforum. It was happy to be with you today, and until we meet in the forum, stay safe. And